Yeah, it's fascinating that this is all happening, like you said, when you're pregnant with what's going to be a biracial baby. I mean, this is really hitting home in strange ways while it's happening. I mean, that must be fascinating to be happening to you, to watch all this and also be about to produce a child who's going to live in this world. I guess it just
Right.
it just doesn't make the stakes even higher.
It does. And, I think the irony of it also is that when someone like Cardi B attacks me for marrying a white man, or, when she attacks me, because I'm pregnant with a white man's baby, what she's attacking are all of the civil rights gains. So you're fighting for a society that would be segregated, right? You think white people should marry white people and black people should marry black people. That's literally what our ancestors fought to end, right? So my child will be an example of the dream that they claim to be wanting to fight for, equality, right? My child would be an example of having broken the barriers of racism, and just people being able to love because they've chosen to love somebody. And yet you have these people that claim they are fighting for civil rights, that at the very same time mock people that are living the civil rights accomplishments.
And yet you're the only person saying this, Candace. I mean, does that boggle your mind sometimes? I can't think of a single person in America or the world who's actually calling this out, except for you.
Yeah, there's one other person who co-founded Blexit with me, Brendan Tatum, who's actually ironically in a similar situation. He's a black man, former police officer. He's married to a white woman, and she's pregnant and having a child. And we are probably the most outspoken people in America about this. And in terms of people that have massive platforms, they just don't have the spine. I take a lot of times silence to mean that they agree with a lot of what I'm saying, but they're just fearful because there is such a vicious emotionality that surrounds this narrative, even though they know it to be nonsensical, even though they know it to be wrong, even though they know that there is not a single data point or metric that they can point to that proves that there is a systemic racism against Black people. It's so embedded now because of the media and because of the culture that people are just scared to tell the truth.
Yeah, and that's why, again, I just want to emphasize again how strong and impressive it is that you stood up, because everybody else kowtows to this mob mentality, from corporations to politicians to you name it. They'll just, zip it and try to let it pass, or put something out that's conciliatory, but they won't actually say what they think. But you will. Do you get
for it?
And
they're paying for it.
yeah.
The capitulation doesn't mean that you get to a point in society in peace. When you capitulate to a toddler, right? If a toddler's screaming on the floor and thinks that that's how they get what they want, and you say, okay, yes, that toddler doesn't then correct their behavior. They get more aggressive and more demanding. And that's what we're seeing happening with these various Marxist movements like Black Lives Matter, because you've said it was okay for them to express themselves by throwing Molotov cocktails, right? It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And corporations are finding now that they're being accused of racism even when there is none. Now they're in a environment where even making a Black person upset, a Black person having any negative experience, can be interpreted as racism. We all deal with negative experiences every single day. I can tell you, I just went to the store and came back, and I can tell you 5 people on the way who just annoy me, right? Or that I feel annoyed by, but I don't feel annoyed by them because they're doing this because I'm Black, right? I mean, literally, I had a woman at Starbucks. I ordered a coffee, and you're allowed to have a minimal amount of coffee when you're pregnant. And I was like, I'll have a large almond milk latte, a medium almond milk latte. And she looked at me and she said, do you mean decaf? I said, no, I mean a medium almond milk latte, already starting with like the judgment. But you know what? It was just a regular thing that she thought. She didn't say that because I'm Black. And she was like, and I should then take that experience and internalize it and say, she looked at me and thought that because I'm a Black person, I can't be responsible for my child, and try to get this person fired. But that's actually how people think now. They don't know how to just have a weird, awkward, negative experience and move on with their day, because that's sort of like a clause of humanity where you're not going to like everybody. Not every person's going to be pleasant to you, and some people are going to get under your skin. But we're infantilizing Black America to believe that they should never have to experience that ever, without seeing some undertones of racism in the situation.